I'm gonna give it 5 more minutes, if that's okay with everybody.
I changed my phone once as my last phone. No, let's go. Yeah, we're looking for two. You can put it all before my next thing.
I know.
Very deep breath, but.
You're still thinking about having it be 6 apartment units? I think there was one time it was gonna be like two and two or something. Like
Currently, we're not changing that plan unless,
6 units?
yeah, unless we are looking at other opportunities that would require us.
Okay,
The idea is we don't want to lose a valuable unit that we need to increase housing
Mhm.
if we don't have to.
right.
It's a 6 unit apartment building. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get started.
That's my pens and stuff, but that's okay.
So I'm gonna call this meeting to order. This is a planning committee meeting for city council. It is Wednesday at 4 p.m. December 18th. I am the chair of the planning commission, or planning committee, Nate Hotchkiss. I'm joined by fellow committee member, Councilwoman Middleton. And Councilman Mike Costi, who is joining us ex officio. We have in the room with us, the executive director of the Southern Door Community Land Trust, Hajra, and Dominique Price, as well as the city clerk. The only thing that we have to on the discussion here is RL 24-267. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into agreement with the Southern Door Community Land Trust. I introduced a similar piece of legislation on the Monday work session. It was introduced as an ordinance and I needed to introduce it as a resolution. So this was already brought up as discussion, but it's just basically a procedural step that we need to alleviate to have this meeting, but this gives us the opportunity to bring you in. But at the end of the day, this we've had you guys come in, present about your project. Earlier in the year, at that time, it was determined that there wasn't any American Rescue Plan funds that could help support the development at 6 Florence Street, not Avenue. But coming to the end of the year, the comptroller got caught up with all the accounting of the ARPA funds. There was a few projects that didn't. There was a project that didn't happen that was in an affordable housing line. So now the city has brought it back and has to get this under contract by the end of the year. So we have a pretty crunched deadline. There was another proposal from the
Land bank.
land bank to incorporate this money, and they already have a contract for trying to develop single family homes, 10 to 12 single family homes. They also did a presentation. Their coffers are currently full, and they're looking at getting more funding, so I thought this was a better opportunity. And I think this would ultimately get your organization up off the ground and get this first building under your belt, so you have a proof of concept to move forward and for other applications of funding. But is there, like, I have your original RL and then what I have in front of me here. Is there anything else that we should add into this conversation? Is there any discussion on this?
The project, I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to, like, I know you guys said already kind of like what you've been going through, but like, if you could just kind of explain again, like, from the city's part, like, not hearing from people, like, can you kind of explain, like, actually, like, what you have experienced from communication from the mayor's office?
So in the beginning, before we got to the request for legislation portion, the Southern Door Community Land Trust approached the mayor's office directly.
When?
Oh my goodness. I don't remember the date offhand, but it was several months before we even got to this part.
So before we were, okay.
Any of this
All right, I
was
just
even
wanted to make
introduced
sure.
to the
Okay.
council, we
Thank
went
you.
to the mayor, we requested a meeting. And we were unable to get a meeting, for over a month. And I finally was able to sit with the deputy mayor. Myself and another board member of mine who is the treasurer for, not Tioga County. He does some budgeting work for a separate county. We both went forward to speak with the deputy mayor in regard to this project, and we presented our ask. From that point on, we received no further communication. No, there was never an answer. There was never a response. It just kind of went silent.
Okay.
So then at that point.
They never asked you for anything? Cause I thought they said that they asked
sent-
for some things.
We actually had an estimate that we wanted to come in and present to the mayor so that we could walk through the numbers. We didn't want to just send numbers and have someone kind of sticker shock, like, why are they asking for this? We asked, I said, we have this information. We'd like to have an opportunity to sit with the mayor and walk through why this ask is what it is. And that's when it was completely silent. So we reserved that information. I then partnered with DAR developers, who then worked on several different portions of the project, pro formas, et cetera, so that we can solidify or validate, or whatever the word is, our project, so that it was more concrete. But again, we wanted to make sure that we were able to present it in a manner so that we could explain and answer questions, et cetera. And so that's when we brought it to the council.
And so I was brought in September 2023. I saw Hadra working, and I was working on another project. I saw her working on her project, and I said, how can I help you? So Hadra and the Southern Door Community Land Trust, September 2023, contracted me to help with their pre-development. I created all their performas. I created, helped them screen their contractors, get different estimates and quotes to make sure that everything was in line. We made sure that every I was dotted and every T was crossed. From September 2023 until the end of the year, we were trying to get a request for legislation for ARPA funding last year with the previous council. The previous president didn't even allow us to present an RL. We were not allowed to present an RL under the previous administration because we're not sure why. We've had many phone calls, we had many dialogues, email correspondence, presentations, emails to previous council members asking, can we present, just to share, so then they can ask questions and, see if it pencils. Because right now we're hearing that the project doesn't pencil or it's not feasible, but I'm not sure if anybody's even seen it to say that it doesn't pencil with the new performa and the new data and all the information that we have. So from September 2023 until through end of the year, we were not able to present with the previous council. So at that point, you all took office. That's when we started again to begin to present the project. And that's when we were told that there was no ARPA funding. There's no funding for any projects for affordable housing at this time from the city. In the meantime, Hadra has worked tirelessly to find other funding sources. I don't believe that you were provided any funding sources from the city. I was provided a few funding sources from the city. I think I was supposed to pass that along to her, but, which I did. But most of those funding sources, the Southern Door Community Land Trust doesn't qualify for because this is their first project. So a lot of those require a track record of success from the organization. And so it's like the chicken and the egg. What do you do first? Do you have experience or do you get to do a project? And so that's where we're at. But Hadra has tirelessly fought to come up with creative funding. She's getting smaller grants. She's getting opportunities from different trust funds, getting opportunities from NYSERDA, truly pouring so much time and energy into these smaller grants. Whereas if we just had local funding to show that the city stands by this project, it would speak volumes to other institutions.
I think. I mean, most of this like isn't news to me, but I think it's good to have the clarifying points. And I think it's like when I hear about, like I learned about like what a community land trust was from you specifically, but then I've seen like the success that there has been in other communities, specifically in Albany. I think they've had a very long-standing community land trust that's done a lot of work in their community, and has continued to maintain permanent affordable housing. And it's just like, well, it's like I want that to happen here, and I know you guys are like committed to that mission. So I think this strikes me as the opportunity to kickstart it and kind of be like the ignition for that whole project. And that's why I really want to support this. Like I like what the land bank does. I think they do a lot of good work. I think they're going to continue to do a lot of good work, but to have you working, not like side by side, but like in the same community, and you have similar missions. So I think like in my mind, it's the more the merrier, but I think some people have been like intentionally forced out of the regular like housing provider, affordable housing provider like models, type of thing. But do you have anything?
Yeah, I think you wanna say
I
something.
mean,
I'm trying to remember, this a long time ago when you guys came down. How much did you request when you came to the council the first time?
The original request, I believe, was 1.2
So
to do a full
300,
rehab.
so 390.
just under.
How is that gonna affect like constructs? Obviously, it's a lot less money than you originally
Well,
requested.
since then, there's been some other capital that's come in that we've been using. So the project has actually has been started.
Okay.
So we've been doing work in the basement, we've been doing exterior work. So we're doing small things, the limited funding that we have coming in. Hopefully in the new year, we'll be able to announce some exciting other opportunities that we're not at liberty to share yet, but hopefully we'll be able to announce that, and that'll be a good chunk of the funding. In addition, we were able to present this project in New York City at a pitch competition with investors, and we have multiple financial institutions that are interested in lending for the project as well. So they were able to see it, and it did pencil for financial institutions, including Community Preservation Corporation, MMT Bank, List New York, who we're meeting with again tomorrow because they really want our business. So that's how feasible and how well this project pencils, that we are eligible for bank funding.
That's awesome.
I didn't know that. That
Yeah.
part I didn't know. So that's
Nate,
exciting.
how are we doing with the contract?
Okay.
Yes.
So
Because that's kind of a time
Sensitive
sensitive,
thing,
it's
yeah.
a time.
sensitive situation.
I
now.
think you maybe got my email today.
I did. I've been busy all day.
Okay, that's fine. There's we were told previously that there was like this has to be under contract and that the contract would be a barrier. However, we've done like multiple different housing projects for ARPA funding. So I'm like, we should have a lot of experience, and I finally got some of the contracts to use as examples, and they're very similar. It's just the dollar amount, the address, the date, and the organization needed to be updated. So I have a working draft of that. We have to put in the RL number and a few other things, but I think the contract is at a good point. I want it to be reviewed by the city's legal team just to make sure that everything is all the T's and dot our i's and cross our t's or.
And you
whatever.
have people to help too, right? So,
To
I
help,
think, oh, I
Okay.
shared that with you as
to
well.
help review the contract?
yeah, and
Yes,
have
yes.
it, like,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing, like, I don't want it to go like to salary, like,
Right,
if we can't get the contract, done, like, we would give it to the land bank, but we would like to give it to you guys
Mhm.
firsthand, but I just want to make sure, that you guys can, I mean, that you will be able to get the contract in order, because we are on a crunch time for the contract.
definitely. And our goal is to utilize the majority of the funding, if not all, for the project, because that's where we are in this pipeline, is kind of getting this project off the ground. And this would act as upfront monies to unlock other funding. And so, outside of the regular percentage, I think with a grant that you might be able to circumvent for other expenses. That would be the only thing. And if we had to forego that percentage to say 100% of this would go to the project to push this forward, that's what we would do, right?
I don't know if I have anything else to add.
I support it, let's get the contract done.
Let's get it done.
Thank you for your support. Is there any other thoughts?
He's speaking tonight. He has wrote a speech.
Thank you so much.
So,
Your civic duty.
yeah,
Thank you.
so this completes this procedural step that we had to redo. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for
and
coming.
Thank you. Thank
This-
you all for having vision.
No problem. So this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Sam has to come back and stop it.
Oh, okay.
She has to- Okay.
Thanks.
Back at 6:35.
I think the contract outlook